Hi, my name is Savannah Armijo, and in this video I will be reflecting on the article Body Rituals Among the Nacirema and its depiction of American culture. I'll then describe a communication pattern or ritual from my own culture viewed through the lens of an outside observer and explore how it reflects U.S. cultural values. From there, I'll examine how this pattern or practice has evolved over time and share an evaluation of these changes as either beneficial or detrimental to the U.S., supported by credible sources. As I reflected on body ritual among the Nacirema, one detail that stood out to me was the use of reversed names for people and place in context. For example, Nacirema is simply American spelled backwards, subtly hinting at the true subject of the article, the American culture. Similarly, as written by Miner in a description of a doctor, these preparations are secured from a variety of specialized practitioners. The most powerful of these are the medicine men. Found on page 2, what grabbed my attention is that the description of these medicinal practices is of a ritualistic, almost witchcraft-like practice. This is similar to the later depictions of the depiction, a place in which the medicine men perform the most dangerous of rituals, a dual example of backwards wording as well as ritualistic descriptions, as depiction is hospital spelled backwards and removing the H. Even the holy mouth men, who are entrusted with oral health rituals, who represent our modern dentists. In Body Ritual Among the Nacirema, physical maintenance is portrayed as a central focus of the culture, almost to the point of obsession. Everyday practices such as dental hygiene and medical care are described as elaborate rituals performed by specialized practitioners like the Holy Mouth Men and the Medicine Men. The article emphasizes how the Nacirema dedicate significant time and resources to preserving and enhancing their physical appearance, reflecting a deep cultural value placed on the body and health. This barbaric depiction highlights the lengths to which individuals go to maintain society's standards of beauty and wellness, often without realizing how peculiar these practices might appear to an outsider. By presenting American customs in an unfamiliar way, Miner encourages us to view our own culture through the eyes of an outsider, emphasizing how ordinary practices like visiting a doctor or a dentist can seem peculiar when framed differently. This clever approach underscores the article's deeper purpose, challenging assumptions about what is normal and inspiring a more objective perspective on cultural behaviors. While I agree that American culture places a strong emphasis on maintaining physical appearance, I find that the article's portrayal is highly exaggerated for effect. By framing everyday practices as elaborate and almost mystical rituals, it over-dramatizes these behaviors to provoke thoughts, but this depiction doesn't fully align with the reality of most Americans' daily lives. In my cultural upbringing, we partake in a grand annual ritual that occurs on the 4th sun of the 11th moon, during which entire clans converge in the dwelling of one designated as the host. This ceremony, known as giving thanks, revolves around the preparation and consumption of a sacred feast. Central to this ritual is a large, winged creature that is ritually prepared through hours of intense heat exposure. This creature, known as the sacred bird, is placed prominently at the center of the ceremonial table. Surrounding the bird are an array of symbolic offerings, each crafted with meticulous care. A mixture of ground grains and herbs, referring to as stuffing, is often embedded within the bird itself. Another essential element is a crimson, gelatinous substance derived from a small, tart fruit. Finally, the ritual concludes with the consumption of a sweet orange squash presented in a circular form. Before the meal can begin, the participants engage in a ceremonial act of reflection. Each member in the gathering, regardless of status or age, is expected to express gratitude aloud. The public declaration of thanks is considered integral to the ritual, binding the participants together and reaffirming their shared values. This elaborate practice is not solely a celebration of abundance, but also a reenactment of a significant event in Nacirema mythology. According to their legends, the ritual commemorates a gathering of different clans who shared their harvest in a display of peace and unity. Although this narrative has evolved over time, its symbolic importance persists, providing the ritual with an air of reverence and continuity. Beyond the feast itself, the day is marked by additional communal activities. Clans often observe contests of physical prowess, referred to as field battles, through a magical box that transmits moving images. Others engage in storytelling, laughter, and sometimes the inclusion of neighbors and friends, reflecting the Nacirema's emphasis on hospitality and social connection. The preparation for this ritual is no small feat. Hours and sometimes days are devoted to readying the feast, with the host assuming the role of provider and caretaker to the gathered clan. Through this intense labor, the ritual embodies the Nacirema's reverence for hard work and their deep appreciation for both familial bonds and communal abundance. If you haven't guessed, I'm talking about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving as we know it today has undergone significant transformations throughout history. Its origins date back to the early 17th century, when harvest celebrations were held by colonists, most famously the 1621 feast shared by the Pilgrims and Native Americans in Plymouth. Initially, these events were religious observances involving prayer and fasting to express gratitude for blessing. Over time, secular traditions have emerged. Elaborate meals featuring turkey and parades, like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, became integral parts of the celebration. Modern Thanksgiving also includes football games and commercial activities, reflecting broader societal shifts. In recent years, the holiday has sparked more critical reflections about its historical context, especially regarding Native American experiences. This evolving narrative highlights Thanksgiving's complexity, blending tradition, gratitude, and a growing awareness of its deep history. Thanksgiving has undergone significant changes over the centuries, and I believe these transformations have largely been beneficial to U.S. culture. Originally, the holiday was a solemn religious observance focused on gratitude and community. While these core values remain, Thanksgiving has evolved into a more inclusive celebration that unites families and communities, regardless of their beliefs individually and traditions. This evolution reflects the American ideals of diversity and adaptability. However, it's important to acknowledge the growing awareness of Thanksgiving's complex history. The traditional narrative often overlooks the experience of Native Americans and the impact of colonization. This renewed focus on historical accuracy doesn't diminish the holiday's value, but instead adds depth, encouraging reflection and fostering a more inclusive understanding of the past. Ultimately, as depicted by the Smithsonian, applied to the findings of this article reflection, the evolution of Thanksgiving illustrates the resilience of American culture. By adapting to societal changes while retaining its emphasis on gratitude and unity, the holiday remains a meaningful and relevant tradition in the United States today. In exploring cultural practices like Thanksgiving through the lens of body ritual among the Nacirema, we gain a deeper understanding of how everyday rituals reflect broader cultural values and histories. By examining how these traditions have evolved, we see the balance between preserving foundational ideals and adapting to societal changes. Ultimately, these reflections encourage me personally to view cultural practices, both my own and others, with curiosity, respect, and a more nuanced perspective. This holistic approach fosters greater cultural awareness and appreciation for the diversity that shapes human experiences. Thank you.